So DaLove, you educated me about how around 30 years ago, I believe in the state of California, there was this big, I don't know how big, there was this movement about native plants. And these native plants enthusiasts that were pushing for invasive plants to be eradicated and for Californians to not grow them. Please do not grow them. Plants such as the butterfly flower, which attract pollinators, butterfly bush, and there's lots of plants that are pollinator
The
attracting.
butterfly bush has recently been added.
Oh, that's been a recent added.
That's
So,
a recent addition.
so will you kind of enlighten me more, because I've personally traveled all of California with you, foraging all kinds of plants, native and invasive supposedly, and a lot of them I've learned like so many of them are medicinal, and a lot of them are from different countries, and a lot of them have different origin stories. But so what would you what your insights about it for me has educated me, because I myself would probably have, or very likely I would have, somewhat got caught on the bandwagon of the native plants thing, but invasive plants, they've been helping me. So can you kind of educate me a little more, like what invasive plants, there's so many that have so many benefits, and if we eradicate them, what will that do to us as Californians, as people who are supposed to call ourselves Americans and be coming from all over the world to share what we're bringing to this country? Like a lot of these plants are from these different peoples who have come from these places to bring their, these really great, really amazing plants, be them edible or medicinal, and they're,
Well, I'm so glad you asked.
Thanks.
In such a graceful way. Invasive comes from the Latin word invadere.
Invadere.
Which meant to invade.
Okay. I see that root. I see how that would come. That makes sense.
Invade, into.
Okay, yeah.
And vadere, go.
Huh.
To go into, right? That's the origin of what the word means.
Got it. Okay.
Go into.
You just educated me a little more. Thanks.
It evolved to include the idea of an attack or an assault, like to invade somebody's space or something like that. But the original meaning of the word simply means to go into.
Got it.
I'm glad you asked, because we have had this conversation many times, and every time I think I've used it as a way to try and seduce more intimacy from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that it's like a little misguided. But it's what's the word? It's not misguided. What am I trying to say? Intimacy. Into me, I see. I want you to see into me more.
Yeah, you want me to feel you more.
I want you to feel beyond the surface level satire that I project at people who I think just aren't educated on certain cycles of human behavior,
mm-hmm.
and or planetary earthly behavior, perhaps maybe the way I am. And so when someone has lived, for example, in one state or one country their whole life, like for example me, I've lived in America my whole life. There are certain things about other countries in the world that I don't know.
Yeah.
And there are many different variants of that, spectrums of that. Because my mother is from another country, there are certain things that I know about her transition to this country from a country that had different values. But in some ways, Jamaica had very similar values because their motto is out of many, one people. Right? And
Yep.
America, I guess our motto is like land of the free, home of the brave.
Yep.
I mean, if you had to put
If
like
there was a motto, that would be
like,
the one I would say as well. Yeah,
liberty and justice for all.
That's another
like,
one.
You know, those mottos.
I don't know which one is more popular, but yes,
yeah, if
those
you
type.
just, you know, having lived in America my whole life, having made really good grades and studied American history and really tried to listen to my teachers and tried to understand what it meant to be American. Yeah. If I were to condense it down, it would be like
those
freedom
two.
and liberty for all and land of the free, home of the brave,
yeah,
right?
Yes.
Which is very similar to...
Which is similar to...
Out of many, one
absolutely,
people.
Absolutely.
It's similar, but it's different.
It is different.
It's saying...
You have to be brave.
You have to be brave
free.
to be free
yeah.
here in America.
Yep.
But there is the possibility of liberty
and justice.
And justice
to
for
be
all.
you, to be just you. Yeah.
I like translating that to liberty just is for all.
Yeah.
Because we all have the liberty to be ourselves, whatever that unique self is. We're being it. We're all being it. But that's like the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The intimacy that I'm trying to extract or seduce you into is to seeing that sometimes I have this energy weight that I feel around my parents having to fight to feel that they have a place in this country.
Mm-hmm.
My father, because he was the descendants of slaves who were considered less than human and lived much of his life during times when there were signs indicating that like,
they still existed, yes.
White only.
Yeah.
And these are the nice places and you can't go here because you're a Negro. You go to the places that are not as nice as these. So my dad grew up with that, and that was a struggle and a fight. My mom, coming from Jamaica, felt that the culture clash, the communication of being able to translate what she was raised with in Jamaica to the people here, she always shared with me that felt like a clash.
Got it.
Like there was and she made friends, but the last time I remember her talking about it, she was like, "You don't understand, like I have nobody." And I'm like, "You have me, mommy." And she's like, "No, but like if I stop working, I don't have any, you know."
Yeah.
She's probably changed her view on that since in the last 3 years since we haven't talked much, and I hope she has. But for my whole life, up until 3 or 4 years ago or 5 years ago, that was the feeling of having nobody.
Yeah.
Coming from this big community in Jamaica where at least she was like the esteemed daughter of somebody who mattered to that community.
Yeah, it was
now
big,
in America,
big
she
person.
feels like she has nobody.
Nothing. Yeah, no
My
one.
dad doesn't have that same line. I'm not saying now in America. I'm saying that was a dominant story.
Yeah.
My dad,
Understood.
though he is very optimistic and positive and a great enthusiastic believer in life, he has always communicated a certain degree of like, oh, it just gets under my skin how America can dehumanize people and send out propaganda that says like you don't matter. And even though my dad knows he matters, it still gets under his skin.
He's expressed it to me. Yeah, yes.
Right? You've seen him express that. Oh, it just gets under my skin.
Yeah.
When I start talking about something I love and I let something get under my skin like that, what I'm asking for from you is a reminder from somebody who looks like what people think America is.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to remind me on some level that I deserve to be here. But the reason why that is a sort of misplaced question is because it doesn't matter if you say you deserve to be here. Like, the feeling of it getting under my skin.
Yeah.
The thing is that
it's still there.
I don't know yet, because you haven't said yet in the kind of way that you have not blessed me in that way that could eclipse that churning of frequency that I received from my father and mother and from so many of my family members who felt marginalized by this society.
God, yeah.
Or who felt that they didn't matter as much as the people who really were American. Your father's from North Carolina. He was in the Air Force. Your mother's from Oklahoma by way of
California,
Arkansas, where beloved President Clinton comes from. Went to California. They both owned businesses. They both had communities that And so some part of me goes, like, when I start talking this way, some part of me wants you to burst the whole bubble and just be like, yeah, you only talk this way when you want a hug. Or you only talk this way when you want, like, to rest. Or I want you to know me well enough to know that.
Yeah, okay.
Like I know my dad.
Yeah.
Because when my dad
when he feels like that.
starts talking that way, I go, oh, Daddy, you care so much for the world, and the world cares so much for you. That's what I've started doing. When I see him go, oh, it just gets under my skin. I like,
so something like that.
Oh,
like
Daddy, don't you
like
care
that.
so much for the world, and the world cares? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That what you do is you go, oh, yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, that's dumb.
I agree.
Yeah, those idiots, they don't know what they're talking about. And so
the
hippie,
John.
the sort of anti-establishment, rebellious
it's
hippie
so similar to,
goes, oh, yeah, they're
I'm on
stupid.
the side of the... Totally.
Whatever you think that I'm focused on, but I'm really not focused on.
No, they're not, because it's so much more than just that.
What I'm using it somehow to draw in a feeling of you seeing me.
To me, connecting with you more.
And going, oh, this is only getting under her skin because some part of.
Because I'm not asking, I'm not expressing.
And you're not able to say, I love that you love the earth so much. That you care so much about invasive plants and native plants, and you care so much, that you express so much about people's emotions, and you care so much that you share so much about your family and about your observations, and that. Oh, wow. I mean, and it's so true. Because that
so true.
Frequency of, I love that you love the earth and the plants that grow so much, that you care so much about all of this. And know that care comes back to you.
It's translated.
The thing is that what's challenging is that as much as I want you to say that, I have to then be the one that teaches you that
teaches me
what
that feels
helps in that dynamic.
Totally. Well, thanks.
Because as long as I'm fighting a war between native plants and invasive plants,
then we can't have intimacy
exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
You see?
Yeah.
Because technically you're a native plant.
Yeah, that divides us.
And I'm an invasive plant.
Yeah, we would have.
I'm an invasive plant that wants to feel like I'm thriving here.
Yeah.
But the propaganda reminds me that no matter how well you're thriving and adapting to this climate, we would prefer only native plants, right? And we can say that because we look like what people think of as American. You don't have a bunch of fucking Chinese and black people and a bunch of people who look all exotic saying native plants, only native plants, because they can't get away with that shit. But if you look white and like you came from the Midwest, kinda, you can get away with that shit.
Totally.
If you look Chinese or fucking exotic you can't get away with that shit. And I'm not saying a lot of the people, there's probably a diverse people who have drunk the Kool-Aid of joining the bandwagon, thinking that that's gonna make them like part of the status quo, and I get it. I've been part of that political movements that make me feel like, oh, if I'm for this, then it means something. I'm part of the in group who knows,
who care,
who knows that native plants are superior to it non-natives, right? Like,
Totally.
doesn't it feel so good to know, right? I know what that feels like.
Totally.
So I'm not really actually trying to engage in that war. What I'm trying to do is use it to bring
more
humor to the fact that I just spent 2 days with my father and was reminded that I still latch onto those things that get under my skin because it hasn't been replaced by a stronger frequency. You see?
Well, I love that you impress these things upon me because I become it's something that it moves this energy that I can't. In some ways, it feels like this deep, like core energy of like love. That as I become more aware around this, really, it's the connectivity of you and I, not that is the native and the invasive. That's the unity. That's the really listening, feeling. That's like exactly what I want. The intimacy that I feel, that I see in you, that you really bring out in me. That you really like. And sometimes the words. I don't have all the words, but how I get it.
Speaking of words, like
I'm learning them.
Your mother told you at the Grand Canyon you were Cherokee.
I know, yeah, she did.
In America, that's called Native American.
Yeah, I know.
On my grandmother's side, my grandmother told my brother and my dad that she was Cherokee.
Yeah.
In America, that's considered Native American.
I know.
The words...
Yeah.
Like, if you're actually part of a Cherokee tribe, you're not calling yourself American.
No. You're not even calling yourself pre-American. You're calling yourself Cherokee.
The person who called this land America was this Italian guy who came over and basically
called a whole area
started
America.
A whole era of saying our way of life is better than your way of life.
Yep.
But here's the thing is that people who were native, as far as what I've read, like, who actually had to live off the land, like, actually had to go hunt buffalo and find fucking plants and places to sleep that
hunt
were
and gather
like,
and...
Sometimes the fucking weather would change, and they'd have to go somewhere else.
Oh, yeah,
they weren't going, this is our land.
No, it was a different
we
type
own this land.
Yep.
This is no one but our tribe. They're going, well,
even
if they have a region they were trying to protect, something could still come in. The buffalo could die. There could be a drought. And they'd have to move on.
Yep.
So my idea of the frequency of being native to the land is adapting to
where you are.
Yeah. So and you know that about me.
Of course.
Because living in our car for a year, we had to realize the earth is our home. Like, well, first we felt like refugees from.
We sure did from California or from our families from
our.
From the communities we
felt refugees from LA.
From LA specifically.
Because LA for us represented
LA specifically.
Society.
Yeah.
We felt like refugees from society, and then we kind of grew into this feeling of, oh wow, when we vibrate on this frequency of love and light and clarity, like the whole world is our home, the whole earth, the whole galaxy.
Totally.
Wherever we go, we'll go into the black hole, into the event horizon, and that'll be our home. That'll be our own
singularity
that
or
is
not.
The primordial frequency that we are capable of emitting that is in everything. Great. So when you and I both forget that, I have to bring in the big
guns
technology and say, hey, can you record me talking about this so that we can both remember together? Because the frequency of our phone brings a remembrance of what this universe is capable of creating. And there's so much technology that is being developed that can expand our viewpoints on the flow of life and all of the evolutionary cycles and fractals. And
which includes everything. Wow.
That was a nice sundown devotional.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, the sun went down as we were talking.